Welcome to the Outdoor Show. This is the place to get all your outdoor related news. If there's any news that you think that we should be covering in the show, let us know down in the comments. Coming up on this show, the Fjallraven Classic comes to the UK, English heritage gets support from Craghoppers, tourists rescued from Ben Nevis, Gore-Tex Pro fabric gets an update for 2020, problems on Everest, Madagascar is planting trees, successful removal of plastics from our oceans, the UK floods, new non-oxygen breathing animal discovered, restoring balance between red and grey squirrels, all that and much more. So let's get started with the outdoor industry news.
Myanmar David Sherpa saw a dead body the very first time he climbed Everest in 2010. Myanmar, around 20 at the time, knew that the route to the top was dotted with over 200 corpses. Climbers often used them as markers for distance and altitude. Myanmar recalls of his experience of passing body after body, all frozen in a moment of tragedy. A 5-year study by the International Centre for Integrated Mountain Development found that the glaciers in Hindu Kush and the Himalayas are melting rapidly and threaten to shrink to nearly a third of their size if CO2 emissions are not controlled. What that means is that dead bodies, some who have been lost for years, have started emerging from the ice. Along with the bodies, tons of garbage, cans, bottles, discarded climbing gear and human waste are all defrosting along the route used by mountaineers over decades. Over 5,000 kilograms of that is human waste at base camp. In 2019, the SPCC was contracted by the government to lead a cleanup operation. In spring, when the Everest Trail was open to mountaineers, a team of 8 scoured the mountains and returned with 10.5 tons of garbage and 7 bodies. Tirshering Tenzing says he plans to continue the operations for at least another 5 more years. But despite of these efforts, there are still 30 tons of trash left on the mountain, according to an estimate by the Everest Submitters Association. In 2019, the government banned the use of single-use plastics in the Everest region. To reduce the number of deaths, they are also planning to restrict permits to those who have climbed at least one 6,500 meter peak in Nepal before they attempt Everest. The most effective solution is education, environmental awareness and sustained effort, says Tirshering Tenzing. Everest is Nepal's mother. We need to save her. In February of this year, 4 tourists were airlifted to safety after being caught in a blizzard on the UK's highest mountain, wearing sneakers, with no hiking gear and no maps. Rescuers said the 4 amateur climbers were extremely lucky to be alive after attempting to reach the summit of Ben Nevis mountain. Hiking with no maps or proper hiking gear, the group was only able to raise the alarm by calling the police and using an app called What 3 Words, which sent the rescue team to their location. They were very cold and one was probably hypothermic and was having difficulty walking, says one rescuer. The weather conditions were described as horrendous, with the wind chill of -20°C or below. Gore-Tex Pro fabric upgraded for 2020. There's going to be 3 new types of Gore-Tex Pro going forth. The variations are one that will be the most rugged technology, stretch technology, and the most breathable technology. The most rugged technology is, as the name suggests, the toughest of the 3, with face textiles of 20 to 200 denier available on the rugged line. Stretch technology will allow the end user greater freedom in movement. An elastic layer sits on top of the waterproof membrane, giving it 12% to 20% more stretch. And this stretch version of Gore-Tex doesn't lose any of its breathability or waterproofing whilst being stretched. Most breathable technology is the lightest of the 3 and has been designed for people that are going to be pushing themselves to the limit aerobically. It can be used with a 30 denier laminate, and therefore you will find extremely lightweight garments with this. So we'll be seeing the Fjallraven Classic coming to the UK for the first time ever. Every year since 2005, hundreds of hikers have made the journey to the north of Sweden to backpack through 110 kilometers of its wilderness as part of the Fjallraven Classic, arguably the most popular trekking event in the world. Now the Swedish outdoor clothing specialists are bringing a version of it to the UK, the Craghoppers National Park. Taking place this summer from the 9th to the 11th of July, the new route is part of an initiative by the brand to extend its legendary classic trekking events across the globe. Unfortunately, tickets for this event are now all sold out. Craghoppers has announced a 3-year partnership with English Heritage, helping the charity keep its 3,700 staff and volunteer warm and dry across 400 iconic historic sites in England.
So that was just a few bits of news there from the outdoor industry. Now let's go over to environmental issues.
Madagascar has embarked on its most ambitious tree planting drive yet, aiming to plant 60 million trees in the coming months. The island nation celebrates 60 years of independence this year and started the planting campaign in January. History made as Ocean Cleanup successfully collects first plastic from the Great Pacific Garbage Patch.
First time actually anyone harvests plastic from the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, from these giant abundant fishing nets all the way down to the microplastic range. So we think we can actually clean the oceans. It's really a mix. You see things like bottles, crates, all the way down to fragments of what of course used to be large objects. So these small pieces, they didn't end in the ocean as a small piece, but over many decades it fragments down to smaller and smaller pieces, and then gets to these pieces that are so small that they can easily be ingested by marine life.
Following a government decision on March the 2nd, onshore wind looks like it's going to make a comeback in the UK. Can we prevent floods in the UK? The aftermath of heavy rainfall continues to bring chaos, misery and tragedy to parts of the UK. So to answer that one, we should have better land management, we should stop building on floodplains, planting more trees and controlling our CO2 emissions. That'll be the first couple of steps in preventing major floods in the future within the UK.
So that was just a few environmental issues worth thinking about. Now let's go over to the wildlife news.
Pine martens could play a crucial role in restoring balance between red and grey squirrels. Research into pine martens' predation of squirrels has highlighted the crucial role played in recovering native predators in natural controlling invasive species and restoring balance to ecosystems. The world's first non-oxygen breathing animal has been found. It is a parasite that lives within salmon's muscles. Comprised of just 10 cells, it's unlike any other animal known in science. Over the course of its evolution, the parasite abandoned breathing and consuming oxygen in order to produce more energy. Aerobic respiration was thought to be ubiquitous in animals, but now we confirm that it's not the case. This discovery shows that the evolution can go in strange directions. Aerobic respiration is a major source of energy, and yet we find an animal that gave up this critical pathway. Rescued as cubs, a lion, tiger and bear remain best buds for over 15 years. This unbreakable bond was formed between the unlikely friends after they endured a hellish hardship together at the beginning of their lives. It all began in 2001, where these animals were rescued from the basement of a drug dealer who lived in Alta, Georgia. The 3 cubs had been horribly abused and were in great distress and seriously malnourished. They received nourishment, medical care and got to explore the grounds of their new home at an animal sanctuary. They received lots of attention from the staff, who allowed the cubs to remain together to keep them calm and secure. It was clear from the beginning that the cubs had a strong bond and it was in their best interest to remain together.
After finishing on that cute and happy note, now let's go over and look at the outdoor community update on Reddit.
So a lot's been happening in the outdoor community this past month. We've had to make some changes to the rules due to some new members that don't seem to have the community spirit. If you're a member of this community or would like to post in this community, please make sure that you read the rules carefully before posting. If you're posting a video in this community, you must first leave 3 separate comments on different members' posts to have your video approved by the community mods. Due to people link dropping and not getting involved within the community, we're now only allowing 1 video link per week. The community itself has actually been quite busy. I myself, as in Stone Age Productions, won top post of the month. There's been snowboarding, skiing and winter mountain climbing. There's also been a very informative and educational video from the rainforest. Walking Nature World, who recently did the hike across Mont Blanc, has set out on a new trip over in Italy. And there's much more to discover and explore over here on the outdoor community. Why not check it out for yourself after you finish watching this video?
So that's it for this outdoor show. If you have any outdoor related news that you think that we should be covering on the show, please let us know down in the comments. Until next time, thanks for watching.